It feels like just yesterday we were being handed out denials of any prospect of a return to Madrid for Formula 1, with naysayers and promoters of the idea equally dishing out rebuffs. Even if it were to happen, it's not even started the process. Well, what a load of nonsense that was. That's right, F1 returns to the capital city of Spain for the first time in 4 decades, but this news has not been met with much celebration or hope. Rather, it's been met with rolled eyes and frustration about the meddling of an already bloated calendar by F1. So surely this is the end for Barcelona, right? Well, not quite, but it may well spell doom not only for the track that so recently became a cult hit following the changes in recent years, but some of the favorite tracks for both the drivers and fans alike. Want to know what the Madrid Grand Prix means for F1? Positive or not, this track's introduction has potential to trigger massive changes to the layout of the sport. And stick around, because the drivers and fans have made their voices heard, and they are not impressed. So the Madrid Grand Prix is here, and it's in for the long haul. A 10-year contract with its inaugural race in 2026 will grant a long-term spell for Spain's capital on the F1 calendar for the first time in 45 years. Back in '81, Ronald Reagan was president, Raiders of the Lost Ark was in the cinema, and the first DeLorean rolled off the work line. So the world has very much changed since Madrid was last on the calendar. One such change is that people no longer make actual racing tracks, instead finding a convenient car park with the most amount of advertising space available and letting the drivers have at it on a bland 90-degree corner-a-thon. In that sense, it would appear that Madrid is very much moving with the times, with their brand new Formula 1 event being held in a dust bowl surrounding an exhibition center. Compare this new 5.4-kilometer stretch of right angles and a few squiggles to keep the plebs happy to the current Spanish Grand Prix held in Barcelona, a Grand Prix whose contract conveniently expires at the same time that Madrid starts, but more on that later. The Circuit de Catalunya is in many ways the perfect F1 track, even if it hasn't led to the most thrilling races in years prior to the layout changes, so perfect in fact that it has even been the site for pre-season testing on many occasions, providing teams with a variety of layout intricacies that give the teams the opportunity to test aspects of the car for many of the challenges that the season may throw their way. So just why are F1 putting on a Grand Prix on the Madrid roads? Well, Stefano Domenicali had this to offer when announcing the Madrid application had been successful. Madrid is an incredible city with amazing sporting and cultural heritage, and today's announcement begins an exciting new chapter for Formula 1 in Spain, said Stefano Domenicali, president and CEO of Formula 1. I would like to thank the team at IFEMA Madrid, the regional government of Madrid, and the city's mayor for putting together a fantastic proposal. It truly epitomizes Formula 1's vision to create a multi-day spectacle of sport and entertainment that delivers maximum value for fans and embraces innovation and sustainability. Well, that seems like a lot of words for what amounts to screw you, pay me. So what does that mean for Barcelona? Well, sadly, if its tenure as an F1 circuit is cut following 2025 as it is now expected to be, it can't be said that the event organizers weren't warned. The FIA had warned the race's organizers that they needed to up their game after fans had been left in baking heat, with huge traffic queues and insufficient public transport services being a key issue that needed addressing. This lack of proper organization and due diligence is ultimately what made the Madrid proposal so enticing in the first place for Formula 1, and perhaps points to the reason for their insistence on street circuits. Since Liberty Media took over F1, an increase of street tracks being preferred has become clear. This is in part due to the fact that their reputation takes a hit every time a fan travels the extra distance to a traditional circuit just to be left in dire weather with unprepared staff and facilities. Contrast this with street circuits that are situated in easy-to-get-to town centers already brimming with facilities, with more that can easily be implemented, then you have an easy win for the track-going fan and a target that can be removed from the backs of Liberty Media. The 30-mile trek from Barcelona compared to the 2 miles to the airport in Madrid makes for a logistical and accessibility advantage which is hard to deny. However, despite the pretty dire outlook for the Circuit de Catalunya, their place in Formula 1 is not dead and buried just yet, or so Stefano Domenicali insists. For the avoidance of any doubt, and to clarify here, the fact we are in Madrid is not excluding the fact we could stay in Barcelona for the future. Looking ahead, there are discussions in place to see if we can really extend our collaboration with Barcelona, with whom we have a very good relationship for the future. Someone who would be eager to see Barcelona stay on the calendar is Lewis Hamilton, who made his opinion on the street washing of the world's fastest sport apparent when asked about his thoughts on the removal of classic circuits clear, as he said, "I don't think I would want to lose Barcelona. I do think it's really important we keep some of the classic circuits, at least the ones that provide great racing. Budapest is spectacular, Silverstone is spectacular, Barcelona is too." This desire to keep classic circuits over the insisted upon street races is also shown by the fans, who fairly unanimously made their opinion on another street race being announced, with the most liked comment on the announcement post at the time of writing being, "Everyone, please no more street races. F1, hold my beer." And it's not just the fans and ex-world champions that are against the street washing of Formula 1, the current world champion is also a well-known critic of these events, with Max Verstappen making his opinion on the matter known late last year. Formula 1 cars are really not made for that. I don't like street circuits at all anymore, certainly not with even bigger and heavier new generation of cars. It was still manageable with the old cars, but now, in Monaco and Singapore, I was very disappointed with how the new cars took to the streets. They were too heavy, too stiff, you can't take curbs with it anymore. These cars just aren't built for this. Street circuits are fun for pictures, but not for racing. That last line is perhaps the most poignant of the criticism levied at Formula 1 and Liberty Media. It seems all they want to do is force a spectacle down the throats of fans that just want good racing, and even then it's probably the classic tracks that they choose to malign that come to fans and drivers' minds when you ask them of their most memorable track. A Florida car park will never compare to Eau Rouge and Raidillon. The grandeur of the Hungaroring bears no comparison to modern street circuits. I challenge you to name one thing about the Las Vegas Grand Prix off the top of your mind other than the big, colourful ball that was in the middle of it, which, by the way, is the world's largest billboard. So if you're celebrating that as a positive of a racing weekend, then go stare at the local advertising for your local shopping centre. At least then you'll be touching grass. The speed at which the Madrid Grand Prix has been approved should make fans of classic venues uneasy, as it could indicate the end is coming for some of our favourite circuits. Circuits like Spa, Monaco and Suzuka are all comparably low earners for the sport based on their contractual agreements with F1. Liberty have been demanding higher and higher fees for circuits to host races, while also demanding more and more infrastructure be provided, which they are not willing to assist in creating, which could lead to some classic and much beloved circuits leaving the calendar in the near future. Suzuka in particular can meet an eerily similar fate to what Barcelona may currently be experiencing, being constricted and forced out of F1 due to a more attractive suitor in the business sense forcing them out. While less of a potent political rivalry than Madrid and Barcelona, Osaka have put their names forward as being a potential suitor to provide a Japanese street circuit. Suzuka's contract is set to expire in 2024, with the fans of the circuit already feeling fear that the iconic Japanese Grand Prix, home to one of the most iconic corners on the calendar, 130R, may meet the same fate as Barcelona and simply fall away due to a lack of a desire to extend their contract. The expansion of the F1 calendar and the exhaustion it brings on its own is a growing concern, with drivers like Verstappen making it clear that if it's to continue, then it will push him out of the sport. The changes to the calendar may push fans away from the sport too, but we have a feeling that if F1 won't listen to its current and ex-world champions, well then there is little hope that they will listen to us. Knowing them, they'll continue to bite off their nose to spite their face, just because it will make them an extra few bucks in the short term. Well, so much for a legacy.